So now that you know how to change all sorts of rational numbers to their other forms, you can go ahead and put these in order. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. You could physically put them onto a number line if you have one. You could convert all the numbers into decimal form, or you could convert them all into percentages. If you convert them into decimal or percent form, then you can use place value to help you put them in order from least to greatest or greatest to least. So in this first example, it says place the numbers in ascending order. So for ascending order, I always imagine a staircase. And if you are ascending the staircase, that means you are going up. And ascending kind of has that beginning sound of like up does. So ascending means go up. That means we start low and we go high. So you start with your lowest number and then you get bigger. So the numbers that they gave us are 0.35, 53%, 3/5, and then a number written in scientific notation, 3.5 times 10 to the second. So since these are all in different forms, you want to change them all into the same form. So I'm going to do method 1 here by converting all these numbers into decimal form. So for that first one, it's actually already written for us in decimal form, so we can leave it as 0.35. In the next one, we have 53%. So 53%, a percentage just needs to be written over 100. And then we know that we have 53 hundredths. That's the same as 53 hundredths in decimal form, so 0.53. Or the other way we learned how to do that would be 53 has its decimal all the way to the right, but to change it into a percentage, I move it to the left. So either way, we end up getting 53 hundredths for the decimal form here. In our next one, we have 3/5. So for 3/5, we can either divide or we can try to get the denominator into something in a power of 10. So 5 can become 10 if you multiply everything by 2/2. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 2 is 10. So I end up getting 6/10, and 6/10 is the same as 0.6, or 6 in the tenths place. So you get 0.6 there. Now that would get me 0.6, and you can always add another 0 on there to help you start putting these in order. In our last one, we have 3.5 times 10 to the second. And if you recall from scientific notation, a positive exponent means that we are multiplying and moving our decimal 2 spaces to the right when it's positive. So it becomes 350. So our last number there is 350. All right, so to put these in order from least to greatest, we're going to look in the place values. So in our ones place here, we have 0, 0, 0, and then in this, in a whole numbers, we have 350. So right away, we know that 350 is actually going to be our greatest number here, because it's the only number that's greater than 1 in the ones place. So we can take care of that. Then we're looking for our lowest number out of the rest of these. I'm just going to highlight that we already looked at this one. So in our tenths place, in our ones place, we have zeros. So that doesn't help us decide which one of these is the smallest. But I can decide on that by looking at my next place value, which is tenths place. And a 3 is smaller than a 5 and a 6. So that means that this number will be our lowest number. Our next number in that list that's going to be higher than 0.35 will be 0.53 because it has a 5 in the tens place, and 5 is smaller than 6. So this number will be our second number. And then 3/5 or 0.6 is actually going to be our next highest. And we already said that our greatest number is 350 because this is a lot more money than either of these three that had $0 and then just some change. So then to write out your final answer, this one actually happened to be in ascending order already. So I'm just going to actually box that in and say that that's my final answer. That doesn't always happen. So you would want to nicely write them out in their original forms again. So let's try another one, and we're going to use method 2 this time, where it says convert all the numbers into percentages and then order them using place value. So it tells us here that we are placing these numbers in descending order. So you can imagine a set of stairs again. But this time we're descending, which means we're going down. So descending starts with D and down starts with D, so we're going down. That means we're going from high to low. So we'd be looking for our highest number to write down first, and then our lowest number to write down last. So I'm just going to put all of our numbers over here again. So I have 2.9%. I have 2/9. I have 2.9 times 10 to the negative third power, and 2.9, which is just in decimal form because there are no percents with it. So I'm going to be putting these into decimal form again, or into percentage form. The first one's already written in percent form, so I have 2.9%. 2/9, if you recall, nines are repeating decimals, but if you forget, you can always long divide. 9 can't go into 2, so I put 9 into 20, and that's a difference of 18 here. So I end up getting 20 minus 18 gets me a difference of 2. 9 into 2 again, I'm just going to continuously be getting a 2 after my decimal. So I get 0.2 repeating, but that's not in our percent form yet. So in order to change that number into a percentage, in order to change that repeating decimal into a percent, we just have to take our decimal and move it 2 spaces to the right, which gets us 22.2 repeating percent. So I'm actually going to rewrite this as 22.2 repeating percent. Once we have that, we can move into our next problem, which is 2.9 times 10 to the negative third power. When we have a negative exponent, we take our decimal and move it to the left. So I'm going to move this 3 spaces to the left. I fill in the empty loops with zeros, so I end up getting this as my decimal, but I need to rewrite it as a percentage. In order to do that, I need to move my decimal 2 places to the right, and I end up getting 0.29%. So that's a really small percentage there. So you can already see in our ones place that that number is going to be the smallest out of the other ones that we've seen so far. And now in my last one, I have just a decimal form. So since this number is already written in a decimal, I need to change it into a percentage by multiplying by 100. So I'm going to say I need to move it 2 spaces to the right, and that ends up getting me 290%. So we have all of these numbers now written in percent form, and we just have to decide which one is the highest and all the way down to the lowest. So the greatest number that I have here looks like it's going to be 290%. So that means that this number would be our greatest. I've already used that, so I'm going to highlight it, know that it's off of our list. Now I'm looking for the next smallest number in this list, which is going to be 22. 22 is greater than 2 and greater than 0, so we have 22.2% or 2/9 as being our next number in our sequence. I've already used that, so I'm going to highlight it. All right, so now I have to decide between 2.9% and 0.29%, and the one that is smaller there is going to be, the one that is higher there is going to be 2.9% because the 2 is greater than a 0 in the ones place. So that's going to be the third number in my list. And then since we were going in descending order, I'm looking for my smallest number to be last, and my smallest number here was 0.29%, or that number written in scientific notation. So now to write my final answer, I'm going to rewrite all of these in their nice form of what they started with. We know that our greatest number or our highest number was 2.9. The number that came after that was our second number of 2/9. The number that was lower than that was 2.9%. And then finally, our last number that was the lowest was 2.9 times 10 to the negative third. So there's 2 different ways that you can sort these. You can either write them all in decimal form and then put them in order, or you can put them in percents and put them in order, whichever way you prefer to put those in order for how you like it. As long as they're in the same form, it doesn't matter how you're comparing. Thanks for watching.